Welcome to Team Wild's Airpower. This week we've taken a trip down south to the fantastic air arms factory in Sussex. It's here that one of the most prestigious airgun manufacturers in the world hand-build their air rifles to such high standards. Blocks of metal arrive, and finely tuned air rifles leave this factory destined for the hands of some of the world's best airgunners. So, we thought we would take a look at what goes into making an air arms rifle.
Right, I'm Alan George, I'm the General Manager of Air Arms. We're here at our factory in Howsham, East Sussex, and I'll give you a tour of our manufacturing facilities. Okay, so in this office here we have where the design is done by the esteemed Mr. Alan Dennis. So that we use software called SolidWorks for doing all the design. And then we go on to a product called CAMWorks, which is fully integrated in SolidWorks, that takes it from the model from SolidWorks into a program for the machine tools to manufacture parts. Right, so here we have more traditional milling machines. We still use these for some of our development work and some of the more simple production parts that we produce. It's a 2.5 kilowatt laser profiling machine. It has the ability to cut mild steels up to 20 millimeters thick, stainless steels up to 12 millimeters thick, and aluminiums up to 7 or 8 millimeters thick. It has a 3 metre by 1.5 metre bed, which gives us great capacity for doing large component parts for the air rifles and small component parts as well. And we cut parts on there that are 0.5 millimetre thick out of swing steels. Okay, obviously the manual milling is a very much more traditional method of producing component parts. We have 4 CNC machining centres that have taken over the role of the manual milling machine, but the manual milling machine still has its part to play within our production environment. Okay, what we have here is an 11 pallet horizontal machining centre, has 20,000 RPM spindle, has 70 bar through coolant pressure, and what our man here is doing is loading up a pallet ready for it to go into the machine, producing components for our 410s and 510s. Traditionally we would make component parts on manual milling machines. Obviously the transfer in the abilities of complexity of parts that we do and the quantities of parts that we do, the investment is in CNC machinery. This is an 11 pallet machining centre. The carousel here has 10 pallets on it, with 1 pallet in the machine, and it will continually work round and change over once it finishes 1 pallet to work on another pallet. We produce components such as the breech blocks, the firing valve bodies, the striker bodies, the trigger guards on this machine here, as well as doing parts for the EV2 and obviously the EV2 replacement. Right, this is a sliding head lathe. We have 2 sliding head lathes here. This is the more complex version. Has lots of milling capacity as well as turning capacity within it. This particular machine has got 11 axes of movement and can produce parts in 1 hit. So this is a striker body for the TDR, produced on this machine at this moment in time. That is produced from solid 4 metre bars that are in the bar feeder feeding this machine. That is produced in 1 go. Okay, this is our second sliding head, more simple than the first one, but very good for producing more simple parts, turn parts, but also still has an element of milling capacity, but not as much as the ECAS that we have. Okay, this is a HAS VF2SS, vertical machining centre, 12,000 RPM spindle, and we have the optional full rotary axis. This is a full axis that we use for machining CX cylinders, as you can see on there at the moment. Okay, so this machine is very, very similar to the first horizontal machining centre. Still 11 pallet machine. The only real difference is it only has 15,000 RPM spindle as opposed to 20,000. We produce very, very similar component parts. In this instance, we're doing the trigger guards on this fixture here. We produce 36 trigger guards complete in any 1 cycle. They go through 2 stages. That machine, this pallet, is ready to go into the machine. Okay, so here we have probably the oldest machine in the factory. It's probably older than what I am. It's a little Adcock horizontal milling machine, but for certain simple jobs like putting a slot in something, it's far better than a machine that costs £250,000. We have two saws here, a circular saw and a bandsaw. At the moment the bandsaw is sawing up blanks for the EV2 replacement bodies, which is the FTP 900. The blanks that the main breech will be made of is machined from absolute solid 2 inches by 4 inches, 220 plus something millimetres long. Okay, we have a twin head centerless linisher. This is used for taking blemishes and marks out of raw tubing material. Say for example the cylinders on a 400s, 410s, the TXs, and getting it to a standard is ready for mop polishing. It goes through 8 stages on the centerless linisher to get it to the desired level that we're happy with to get the right mop polish. Okay, so this is a automated mop polishing machine. This takes it from the linear standard up to the high gloss ready for chemical blacking. The machine can take 6 components at a time. It has 2 heads, one with a Sizewell mop on, one with a polycotton mops. Both heads are auto-fed with liquid compounds to give the desired cut and gloss finish. Part of the process of our guy there who's operating the machine is, as they come off, he inspects them, looking for blemishes. 100% inspection, and as you can see on this one are some tiny little blemishes that he circled. What we will now do with this will now be repolished to remove those blemishes. The level of attention to detail that we go to ensure that our parts are 100%. After it's been inspected and after it's been approved, each individual part, after it's been polished, will be oiled to prevent any corrosion. It is then wrapped in acid-free tissue paper. It has to be acid-free, same again to prevent any corrosion. All these component parts are then wrapped up into these tins, which are lined with towels, and then ultimately this enables us to send them for subcontract chemical blacking and to be 100% sure that our parts are 100% when they come back. Okay, so here we have an ultrasonic degreasing machine, cleaning machine. Everything that goes through our polishing, our linishing, our blasting, and prior to assembly goes through this machine and it cleans the parts to an unbelievably high standard. Okay, we have 2 types of blasting here. We have a dry blast and an aqua blast. The aqua blast gives a slightly finer finish with an element of sheen to it prior to anodising, whereas the dry blast gives a slightly matter finish to it. So in here we have our stores area for holding component parts prior to going to the assembly benches. Our stores area takes up a huge amount of space. These are racks that hold more handleable, smaller components that do fit within our tote bins. On the way to the assembly areas we have our storage for wooden stocks, and a lot of component parts are actually on the benches themselves. Okay, so what we have here is our assembly cells. We have 6 assembly cells in this area. Each cell has between 1 and 2 persons working within it. The cells are very much dedicated to the type of rifle they're producing. So we have 1 cell for our Spindle rifles, we have 1 cell for our EV2 and now to be the FTP. And then we have the other 4 cells are for the rest of our range of pneumatics. But what you may find is that 1 cell only has the ability to do our standard range of rifles plus our MPRs. Another cell can do standard range of rifles plus TDRs. So although they are conceptually very similar, you have cells that are dedicated to do certain particular products as well. So each one of our assembly cells have their own chronographs, so as they build the rifles, they will put them up on here on the rest, down the chronographs, and as we have, they come out on there, and then we also have the ability to save that for future records. Okay, so what we have here, we have our own internal range for testing the accuracy and the velocity of the rifles that we're producing. We have a 25 metre range that goes from this area here over to across our mezzanine where the assembly area is. The rifles get loaded into the vise here. We have different vise jaws for holding different actions, and we have different stock blanks for different actions as well. So we can put the rifles in there just as an action or to simulate in a stock, and we can test our accuracy. And there's a conventional paper target on a rail system that runs beneath the stores area where the wooden stocks are. Okay, so you've seen our manufacturing processes. Here's the final product, a 510 carbine FAC Superlight in the traditional brown stock. Pretty much everything that you can see here we manufacture downstairs in our shop floor. Apart from the wooden stocks that we buy in from Manelli's, and our barrels that are underneath the shelf here are coming from well-renowned local Walther. Other than that, we pretty much make the lot here at Air Arms.
For more information on all things Air Arms, visit airarms.co.uk. Subscribe to Team Wild TV for all the best hunting shows on YouTube.